I'm sure I'm not the only person to wonder why we have so many barbers. I remember a time 10 years ago when one high street I'm going to think of had two hairdressers. One of them had Moroccan TV on, and it was near to a mosque, so they had their clientele, and one of them cut black hair, so they had their clientele. Well, now on that high street, there are 8 or 9 barbers, and half of them are empty most of the time. Yet they still seem to be thriving. Traditionally, economists would tell us that if supply goes up, then either, and demand doesn't change, either you reduce the prices or you improve the quality. But what I see here is that a business that doesn't need people to have their haircuts to make a profit. That's the crux of it. A few years ago, I worked on a high street, and there was a old barber shop. Been there about 20 years. It had 4 seats, but there was only 2 people that could cut hair. They had their regular customers. They came in every month to 2 months. They knew what they wanted. They gave them their trim. They charged them a fairly reasonable amount, and they left. And they made money through numbers. So they were cutting 3 people's hair an hour, and between that, they were probably making a profit of 1 to 1.5 persons once they'd paid their costs. Now, just up the road from there, a barber opened about 5 years ago. And for 5 years, it sat on quite a prime site with a fairly flashy frontage and as a parking space. And on that parking space, they park their AMG. And I'm not talking a cheap AMG, I'm talking an expensive AMG. You know, with that paint job, that sort of gangster glare, that special sheen that doesn't come with the price of a tasteful AMG. But if you're a pimp or a drug dealer, you think your car looks nice with that shine to it. So that barber shop sits almost empty most of the time. It could easily take 5 times the number of people that go into it. But for 5 years, it's not only managed to stay afloat, but it's paid for a very expensive AMG. And when the AMG isn't there, there's a very nice G-Wagon in that special semi-shiny black. So this is obviously a big money maker. I mean, it crossed my mind, should I set up a barber shop? Because clearly I can't afford an AMG and a G-Wagon. And if I had 2 chairs and got people to have their hair cut in it, wouldn't cost me very much, and I'd soon be able to afford one of those. But if I do the basic maths on it, I can't. Even if I can get people to go in there, if it costs £15 for a haircut, let's pretend we're paying our staff and they're not illegals that are paying us, then maybe I've got £10. And then from that haircut, £2 of that goes to cover the costs, the electricity, the business tax, all the different costs to do with having a shop. Now I'm down to £8 a haircut. So I need to do about 10,000 of those without spending a single penny on anything else to buy one of those 2 cars. So how is that barber shop staying open? And why have they never been raided by the police is the question I'm asking myself. Because it's very clear that that barber shop has a lot more income than could possibly be explained by cutting hair. Now that barber shop may be legitimate. He may have other businesses. He may have a whole string of barber shops. but high street near me that has 8 or 10 barbers, those barber shops are making money somehow. And I think we all know what's going on. And the question is, why are they not being investigated? And I know they are. Some have been investigated for modern slavery. Some have been investigated for employing illegal immigrants who actually pay the barber shop to have a job. Some have been investigated for drugs and all sorts of sordid business. But when so many barber shops run in so many towns that clearly can't be making any money, and some of them have pretty poor quality, you have to ask, when the National Crime Agency says that barber shops are probably the main source of laundering money, why are there so many of them unraided? Is it time that we had some certification on hairdressers? Although the number of barber shops increased 64% from 2014 to 2019, and it's certainly increased faster since then, it's where you have multiples almost next to each other. When 1 in 4 shops is a barber shop, they're not making their money cutting hair.